Hello guys, good morning. So I think we can start already. Let me just share my presentation. Okay, so we have here our lecture, Module 8. We're already on Module 8. As I've stated, this will be the last topic for the midterm. And for this topic, we will be covering the topic on police officers' pledge, principles, and conduct of law enforcement officials. No? So, not all of them. Kasi, meron pa sana yung idadagdag natin dito, pero hindi na natin siya mako-cover up. So, we're just going to discuss what I had prepared to you this session. No? So, our topic is, of course, the following: the police officer's pledge, no? Forum to recite, and lastly, the fundamental principles of the duties of the law enforcement officers' duties and responsibilities. I guess, this is an interesting topic again on the part of the fundamental principles, kasi we would be citing some of the relevant issues that we have in the current situation that the PNP organization is been encountering in the past years, no? So let's get into that later on. But for now, let us first discuss the police officer's pledge, no? So in relation to this, police officer's pledge, because there's nothing much that we can discuss about this, no? We're just going to try to interpret or discuss the sentences, no? Either word per word or the very concept of each pledge here dito sa ating police officers pledge, no? But then I will be putting this as part of your activity, and I'll send na lang the instruction later on. So before we start, let us first define ano nga ba yung tinatawag nating pledge, no? So pledge pertains to the solemn promise or agreement to do or refrain from doing a certain thing. So we are talking about promising, no? Promising or agreeing upon, no? a certain action or certain principles and so on. So pag sinabi nating police officers pledge, these are their the promises of the PNP, no? That they will honor, that they vowed to honor in relation to their duties. As you can see, yan. It's very important, sabi ko nga, you will be having an activity in relation to this, and that activity will be, you will be reciting, no? Memorizing the police officer's pledge, and hopefully you can make your own interpretation also as what the pledge means to the police organization, no? So we have here, the first sentence state that I will love and serve God, no? So it really shows how religious the PNP organization are, no? It really shows how God-centered the PNP organization was, no? This is being supported by some of the duties, by some of the activities, by some of the custom and tradition of the PNP organization, di ba? Last meeting, we were discussing about police tradition, police customs, and we had mentioned a lot that involvement into religious activities and showing how religious they are and their family is part of the customs and traditions as well as the duties, no, of the police officer. So under their pledge also, it shows here that before anything else, they vowed to show love and service, no? And to do service in view of their faith, no? In view of their religious sect and so on. So that is one of their pledge, because they believe, of course, that when you put God first, no, in whatever things you do, di ba? Meron tayong kasabihan na ganyan sa Biblia, no? You will never go wrong. So that would result into more ideal police law enforcement operations or law enforcement programs and activities in relation to the existence of criminality, as the PNP organization is eyeing to. No? So that's one, isa yan. Also, they will love and serve also their country, no? Our country. That shows also their patriotism, as we discussed on the police customs and tradition, and love and service to the people. No? And when we talk about love and service to the people, it shows, or it is expected that when you love and serve the people, the countrymen, that you will respect not only their person, but also all of the rights accorded to them. No? So lahat din ng ang pagpapakita ng pagmamahal sa yung kapwa Pilipino o sa mamamayan ng bansang pinagsisilbihan mo ay isa sa ay na ipapakita sa pamamagitan ng pagbibigay ng respeto sa dignidad at karapatan ng bawat isang tao. No? So that's one. Now we have also here the sentence which shows that police officers vows to uphold the Constitution. No? So supporting the Constitution is one of the way or methods on how law enforcement organization or members of the law enforcement organization could manifest their love to their country and being patriotic. It's very important that our constitution is being respected by our police officers, as the different rights that we have in relation to our human dignity and human rights are all listed therein. And we would not want, ayaw naman natin ang isang police na kung saan is walang paggalang sa ating konstitusyon, hindi sinusunod ang ating konstitusyon, kasi nangangahulugan yan na hindi sila karapat-dapat na magsilbi or magpatupad ng batas. That would be very much problematic indeed. Also, it mentioned here, they will obey legal orders of the duly constituted authorities. So, we also have under the police customs and tradition the obedience to superiors, obedience to lawful orders, and duly constituted authorities. So now, sino-sino nga ba yung mga yan? Yung mga duly constituted authorities. So we don't only have the president, but all other individuals that holds power in relation to their service to the government. So kasama dyan yung mga ahensya ng gobyerno, kasama dyan yung mga elected officials. They are all individuals who have authorities, and that is recognized by our constitution. So their orders must be duly obeyed and followed as long as that is in accordance with the law. Yung sinasabi nating lawful orders. So kung halimbawa si mayor gusto niyang ganito ang gawin ng kapulisan sa kanyang munisipyo, in relation to the protection of the people, so the police officer should vow and obey such orders, because that is for the common goods of each and every individual. Pero kung ibang mga pinag-uutos na, like for example is pagprotekta sa mga kriminal, pagpatay sa mga kalaban nila sa politika, yun yung mga hindi na karapat-dapat na sundin kahit ang nag-uutos pa niyan ay mga duly constituted authorities. You should only follow legal orders, legal orders and lawful. Okay? Police officer oblige themselves also to maintain a high standard of morality and professionalism. So what we are talking about here, is living in accordance with the moral standard that is expected for police officer. Like for example, no gambling, no any form of negative addiction. They should not involve their self to those things. Kasi pag ikaw ay law enforcer, ibig sabihin, ikaw ay marunong sumunod sa batas. Kasi it should be your responsibility. How can you enforce the law if you are the one who is breaking the law? Paano ka naman susundin ng mamamayan kung ikaw mismo nagpapatupad ng batas ay siyang pangunahin, pangunahin na hindi sumusunod sa mga batas na pinapatupad nyo, like what we have seen in the recent months, wherein police officers are trying to apprehend yung mga hindi nagsusuot ng face mask, face shield. Well, in fact, yung nag-arrest mismo, yung nagpapatupad mismo, yung nag-check mismo, siya naman ang hindi nakasuot ng face mask or face shield. So, in order for you to be respected, in order for you to be respected and followed by the citizen, by your subjects, you should be the one who will set as a good role model to everyone, So mataas talaga this standard. We can relate that also sa gambling, we can relate that also to either drug addiction and so on, di ba? How could you enforce the law on gambling if you yourself is a gambler, Ikaw, kunyari, kapag nasa serbisyo ka, pahuli-huli ka ng mga nagsusugal, nagiinom, and many more. Kung ikaw mismo, paano ka gagalangin kung ikaw mismo ay ganun din, kagaya din nila, nagsusugal ka rin, may mga bisyo ka rin, may mga crime ka rin na kinocommit within yourself, So that is not an ideal police officer, So they should really vow that they will maintain such high standard of morality, Kasi before you can be able to freely enforce the law, now make sure that you yourself is obeying, your action is in accordance with the laws that you are enforcing. So that's very important, we could not really remove the tendencies, or the chances wherein the community, the community will rebel against authority, magre-rebelde sila against authority kapag nakikita nila, that there is injustice in the implementation of the law, Pag ganyan na nakikita nila yung mga police officers natin, na nagpapatupad ng batas, nanguhuli ng ganito, ay sila din mismo ang gumagawa niyan. So there is injustice, The community, the citizens will not respect the enforcement of such law unless the enforcers themselves are really obeying the laws that they are enforcing. That's very important. That is in relation also to professionalism. So when we talk about professionalism, how you deal with the community, when you are trying to enforce law, how you deal with them. Are you acting professional, or you just power tripping? You just power trip. Kumbaga is since you're a police officer, since you have a firearm, you think that people or the community will be intimidated to you and they will obey you and so on. So that's not how you do it, You should do it with all the actions that are considered as professionals, Halimbawa, are you respectful whenever you are dealing with when you are communicating with the community? Are you respectful when you are socializing with them, when you are asking favor with them, and so on? So lahat ng mga ito ay kino-consider dapat, as part of the pledge that you had vowed upon into. Also, the police officer shall respect the customs and tradition of the police service. So we made mention of the different police customs and traditions already of the PNP organization. So in relation to that, the police officer should vow that they will respect such customs and tradition. Pag sinabi nating respect, kasali na din dyan yung pagsunod, or paggawa ng kung anuman ang nakasaad doon sa tinatawag nating police customs and traditions. Okay? We also have here, I will live a decent and virtuous life to serve as an example to others. So we made mention of this in relation to the maintaining of high standard of morality kanina, So live a decent life, and a virtuous life to serve as an example to others, A good police officer should police himself first before he police others, So una niyang tignan dapat, is yung kanyang sarili. Parang kumbaga is tingin ka muna sa salamin if you are living a decent life, if you are not violating any law, if you are not committing any immoral actions before you could be able to enforce the different laws that we have. Kasi hindi naman talaga katanggap-tanggap when a person enforcing the law, siya mismo ang nagbe-break ng law. Kumbaga, para kang nakikinig sa misa ng isang pare na kung saan yung pare mismo ay may mga kababalaghan or kabulastugang ginagawa. So it's not good. The same also with regards to law enforcement. Before people will cooperate or will respect you as a police officer, una muna sa lahat, ayusin mo muna yung sarili mo, live a decent life, live a virtuous life, to be able to set a good example to others. So dapat ang motto nyo is gayahin nyo kami, ganon, that we are obeying the law, so we have the authority or we have the right to enforce also the law that we have. So yan talaga, it's very how do you call this, nakakalungkot lang na makita minsan that some of the police officers that we have are they themselves are being involved into different crimes. Nakakalungkot isipin na mismong nagpapatupad ng batas ay minsan sila rin ang kauna-unahang sumisira nito. Like for example, they have to enforce the law on drugs, they have to enforce the law on the consumption, the selling, the production of illegal drugs. It's very unfortunate that sometimes we encounter police officers that they themselves are using drugs, selling drugs, producing drugs, planting drugs, or even protecting those different drug users or drug pushers. So those things should be really addressed by the higher people on the PNP organization. Dapat ito yung i-address nila. Kaya nga lagi-lagi silang nagkakaroon ng tinatawag nating internal cleansing, but still meron pa rin yung mga nakakalusot nito na mga kapulisan na kung saan is sila mismo ang sumisira sa mga sinusumpaan nila or mga dapat na pinagbabawal nila, sila mismo ang gumagawa. Okay? So as I've stated, there's a need for you to recite or memorize the police officer's pledge. That would be part of your activity. Although you are not yet a police officer, but of course, you are going to be one of them someday. So we have here the forum to recite. Kailan ba nire-recite yan? Yung tinatawag nating police officer's pledge. The police officer's pledge should be recited during the following occasions. Yan. During flag raising and flag retreat ceremonies. Kapag sila ay nag-flag raising or flag retreat, part of the pledge that they are reciting during such occasions is this police officer's pledge. Nire-recite nila yan. Yung panunumpa, kasama ng panunumpa sa watawat, kasama din dyan yung panunumpa sa I don't know the Tagalog of this, yan. So during PNP training, if they have they are attending training, they are attending different programs in relation to the development or capacity building of the PNP, during during course opening and closing ceremonies, bago mag-start yung programa nila, they will have of course the different ceremonies performed. Kasali na dyan yung flag raising, and still they will still recite the so-called police officer's pledge. Nire-recite nila yan kapag sila ay may mga training programs, or mga seminars and so on. Some other ceremonies, nire-recite nila ito. So those are the instances wherein the police officer's pledge are being recited upon. So with that, with that, for us to be able to internalize the concept of the police officer's pledge, I would be asking you to recite and memorize and recite also the police officer's pledge. Okay, so that's with regards to the police officer's pledge. Let us jump into our next topic, which is very long. I hope it will not consume much of our time. So the fundamental principles of the PNP, the rigid application of fundamental principles and police work is very necessary to avoid human rights violation and maintain respect of the profession. So we have here the different responsibilities of the law enforcement or the PNP members. No? To be able to understand the different principles in relation to the PNP duty is very important. Why? This will serve as a guidance in the performance of their duty. We made mention already of some of the guidelines that we have in relation to the performance of duty. But again, we would like to reinstate and refresh our mind with regards to the different principles. So, ibig sabihin, itong mga fundamental principles na to, dito nakabase kung ano-ano nga ba dapat yung nararapat na gawin ng isang police officer while performing his duty, and ano yung mga hindi karapat-dapat na gawin ng isang police kapag siya ay nasa duty. So, number 1, with regards to the fundamental duties or responsibilities of a police officer, we have here the prevention of crime and the control of crime. Sabi dyan, the prevention and control of crime. We know for a fact that it's really impossible to eradicate criminality in our country. So at least one of their primary goal or primary duty is to prevent and control. To prevent, which means if there's a chance that they could be able to eliminate crime before its existence, before siya mag-exist, then that's better. In case of crime has been committed already, at least they should be able to control the existence of such criminal action. Also, the protection or the prevention of protection and control of different disorders, oppressions, oppressions specifically by different political groups, abusive soldiers and policemen, and tyrannical policemen and decadent society. So the different issues that we are talking about here, kaya nga hindi lang kasi sila nakafocus on law enforcement. Pag sinabi natin law enforcement officers, law enforcement agencies, they're not just focused in enforcing the law, but also they are trying also to make programs, to create programs that could be able to prevent or control the different issues that we have, like crime, disorders, oppressions, and many others. It made mention here that any oppression or any abuses coming from different political groups, or should be addressed also. Kasi remember that the police officers are the servant of the people. The servant of the people. They are not in the service of or they're not in the service for some groups, for some political groups only. The police officers vowed to serve the people. Yan yung dapat nating tandaan. Ang sinumpaan ng mga kapulisan natin is pagsilbihan ng ating bansa at ang mga mamamayan. Hindi pagsilbihan ang iilang grupo lamang. So whenever the common interest of the citizens, of the people of the country is being oppressed or being taken advantage by by some political groups, pag pinagsasamantalahan na ang ating mamamayan, they should be willingly serve or protect our country, our community, and others against these different individuals. Kasi we know for a fact that there are sometimes the influence of the different political individuals, politicians, to law enforcement. Kaya minsan disappoint, na kung saan is ang mas sinusunod kasi ng mga kapulisan is yung dikta ng kanilang mga political leaders, kumpara sa interest ng public, which is of course medyo nagkakalituhan naman dyan, kasi doon sa una nating pinag-uusapan dito is they should be loyal to the duly constituted authorities. They should follow. They should follow and obey. But of course, we should consider always the best interest of the community. we should always consider the best interest of the community in relation to this. Ano? Kapag lawful, no, ang orders, it's okay. But if it is not lawful already, then there is no way that the police officers should still show loyalty to these individuals, no, to these political groups and other groups, no, if they are already abusing, no, the majority of the community or the community itself, no. And it's not also a secret. It's not new that we have encountered some abuses coming from the PNP organization itself. Ano? Kapag ang isang police officer mismo ng abuso ng mga ng mamamayan, ng citizens natin, no, the police officer should, no, move to protect the victims of such abuses, regardless of who the abuser was, no, were. So if they were police officers, they were politicians, they were soldiers and so on, na dapat handang harapin na ang mga handang harapin ng ating kapulisan na nakalabanin kahit sino pa man sila or kahit kabaro pa man nila ang offender, no? So anyway, we are witnessing that naman already, no? Since we have a lot of police officers being arrested by police officers too, no? Yung police mismo, inaaresto niya na yung mga police na tiwali, no? Na mga kurakot, na mga merong krimeng ginagawa, no? That shows that they disregards, no? The principles or the traditions of camaraderie if the community already is being put at risk, no? So yan yung lesson na dapat matutunan natin diyan. No? Regardless of who they are, no, the police officer should be willing to serve the public, no, against any abuses coming from either kabaro nila or either coming from influential individuals, no, or political groups and others. No? Next, to recognize that the fulfillment of its function is dependent upon the community approval of its existence and on its ability to obtain and maintain responsive support and participative cooperation. We can relate actually a statement B and C. I think D also. Yan. So, dito, no, sa mga susunod nating discussion, it's focused on the rebuilding a good rapport with the community. I think we discussed already the importance of that. Napag-usapan na natin kung gaano kahalaga ang cooperation ng community doon sa law enforcement agency. Without the support of the public, without the support of the community, there's no way that the PNP could be successful in the performance of their duty. As we have stated, crime exists in the society. The law enforcement operate in the society without in the community. So if we're going to look into the pillars of the criminal justice system, we have there the center, no, ang pinaka-core ng ating criminal justice system is the community, which means that everything, all the things that the police officers, all the concerns of the police officers are existing within the community, yung mga issues natin with regards to crime, disorders, abuses, and so on, they all exist in the community. And the community has a very important role also in the prevention of crime, no, and the enforcement of the law and others. No? So the police officers, of course, they're part of the community also. But then, as far as their duties is concerned in relation to the justice system, no, the law enforcers enforce the law within the territory of the community. So without the cooperation of the area, without the cooperation of the community themselves there, no, then how could the police officer be successful in the performance and the prevention of crime? Like for example, gawa ka ng program in order to prevent criminality, but then the community do not want to cooperate with you. How could you be able to enforce, or how could you be able to implement the different programs that you have if the community itself does not want to cooperate with the law enforcement? So hindi mo rin pwedeng sabihin, sige, bahala kayo. I heard this for some police officers claiming that bahala kayo dyan, you don't want to listen, no? You don't want to listen, you don't want to cooperate, then bahala kayo dyan. You will be victimized of a crime. You will be yes, you will be victimized, no? If you will not cooperate with us. Like for example, no? In a certain community, ayaw nilang ituro kung sino yung mga kriminal na namumugad doon. Sino yung mga member ng NPA na nakatira doon sa lugar na yan. Will that become a problem to the PNP also if the community refuses to cooperate with them by alam niyo na isumbong yung mga taong ito? Nagkakaroon kasi tayo dito ng tinatawag nating Robin Hood syndrome, where the criminals are portrayed as a hero, are portrayed as a friend of the community. The police officer will no longer be efficient onto that area, mas tutulungan na nila yung mga criminal doon, mas tutulungan na nila yung mga gangs na nakatira doon, kaysa sa mga police officer. Kaya pag pumasok doon ng police officer, there's a high chance, of course, that they will be victimized of, mas sila pa ang mabiktima, Kaya nga may mga ambush, may mga crime hotspot area tayo wherein hindi kayang pasukin ng police officers, I heard there was a place, na kung saan takot ang kapulisan na pasukin. Why? Kasi pinamumugaran na siya ng kriminal. At yung community doon are no longer in support of the police officers, but rather they are in support of the criminals. So, when a criminal committed a crime, and he is being apprehended o hinahabol siya ng ating mga kapulisan, all he need to do is to run to that place na nagiging haven na, nagiging safe haven na kumbaga ng mga criminals. And if that happens, what would be the implication of that to the police officers? Meaning that you, as a police officers, you have limitation of your power. You cannot go to a certain place to enforce law. And how would that be? How would that impact the police organization? Diba? Sasabihan kayo, duwag, takot, Hindi nyo nga mapatupad ang batas doon sa area na yan. That is very negative to the PNP organization. So there is really there is really this significance of getting the support of the community. The one who should effort to gain the support, to gain the cooperation or to gain the favor of the community is the law enforcement themselves. Hindi pa baliktad. Hindi dapat ang community ang mag-beg for the protection of the PNP or the other law enforcement organization. It should be the PNP, the different law enforcement organization, who should try to who should try the public approval, who should initiate and in building a good rapport with the community. Kasi number one, police officer exists, law enforcement agency exists because community is, because of the community. Without the community, there will be no police organization. Kung wala yung community na yan, wala din yung law enforcement organization na yan. Why? Because the reason for its existence is the reason for the existence of the different law enforcement organization is the fact that there is a community that supports them and there is a community that seeks their service. So the community build themselves the so-called law enforcer in order to maintain or protect them. So without now the community, if the community does no longer supports them, then how could be the law enforcement organization keep on existing? How could they exist if the community decided that okay, we will no longer support the law enforcement organization, which means hindi ibig sabihin na mawawala na ang kapulisan, ay mawawala na ng protection ng community. Remember that the community could build their own new police force for that matter. Kaya nga kung titignan mo yung mga rebelde, which they try to isolate themselves. Gusto nilang magsarili, no? Gusto nilang magtayo ng sarili nilang sibilisasyon. Does that mean that when the government does not protect them, kung ayaw silang suportahan ng gobyerno, does that mean that they are helpless, that they are vulnerable already? No? No. Because if a certain group decides to build their own police force, then they could do so. No? So, ang isang community, kapag nawalan na ng tiwala sa ating existing law enforcement agencies, nawalan na siya ng tiwala sa kapulisan natin, sa kasundaluhan natin, it will not bother them. Kasi they only need, the thing that they only need to do is to build their own police force. No? Gawa sila ng sarili nilang tropa, gawa sila ng sarili nilang sundalo o kapulisan, and they still are considered as strong. Ano? I mean, they can still protect themselves. No? So, while the law enforcement organizations, kung wala na yung public support, that means also taxes are no longer there, public funds are no longer in favor of them. Ano? Ibig sabihin, hindi na sila popondohan ng community, hindi na sila popondohan ng mga citizens, magsisis na mag-exist ang ating kapulisan. So with that, I'm just pointing it out here that the importance of the community to the law enforcement organization. So, hindi dapat pabaliktad kasi ang tingin na kami, kailangan ninyo, no? Nasabihin ng law enforcement organizations na yan, that kami, kailangan ninyo kasi kung wala kami, you will be vulnerable. You will not be protected. That's not the case. No? The police organization is in the service of the community. That's why in relation to building good rapport, ang mag-initiate dapat dyan, ang lumapit dapat sa mamamayan para magpatupad ng program, para makipagtulungan, para hingiin ang suporta is the law enforcement organization and not the community. Okay? So, that is just an eye-opener. Ang punto ko lang dito is so that you will have a guidance whenever you are already in the police force. No? Na kung saan is hindi dapat mababa. Kung hindi mo kayang tignan ang community na mas mataas sa'yo, since you are a public servant, then at least tignan mo ang mamamayan na kapantay mo. No? Kaparehas mo na tao, no? Kaparehas mo na Pilipino. So that it will build now good respect to each and everyone. Kasi mahirap kasing tumira sa isang bansa or sa isang lugar na kung saan is some people are looking at themselves that they are higher than those than the community that they serve and so on. That's very negative. Kaya ang mangyayari diyan kung ganyan ang tingin ng isang pulis, ganyan ang pananaw ng isang pulis, magiging abusive 'yan, magiging power tripper 'yan, magiging authoritative yan to the point that he is already demanding service to be rendered upon him by the community, which is not good. So in relation to the topics that we will be discussing, like for example statement B, statement C, that is all in relation to the community support, to the police community relation. It should be a give and take relationship. The police officer, the police organization has something to take and give to the community, and as well as the community has something to give and take also to the police organization. So it's very important to build a good rapport, to build a cooperative environment between the law enforcement and the community. Okay? Let me just read now itong mga statement dito in relation to this since we are discussing them naman. To recognize that in order to secure and maintain the approval and support and cooperation of the public, it has a collateral responsibility of securing the willing assistance of the public in the task of securing and observance of the law. By the way, if you have question with regards to this, don't hesitate to ask. Tanong lang kayo. So, sabi dito under statement C, para makuha mo ang suporta, ang cooperation ng community, meron ka dapat responsibilidad din na kumbaga is ipakita or ipatupad yung mga batas na dapat may ipatupad, no? At meron ka dapat pagkukusa na magserbisyo, no? Magserbisyo sa ating community without them asking. So, for example, there's a need for you to render service, no? Nakita mo na may isang tao nangangailangan ng police assistance. Do not wait, no? Natawagan ka, sir, pa-assist nga kami dito. Just go, have an initiative to help, no? To assist the public in those issues, especially if that is in relation to the enforcement of the law, no? Or the issues on peace and order, no? So it's very important that you should have an initiative to act before being requested to intervene, no? To recognize, letter D, to recognize that when the community cooperates and assists the police, it diminishes proportionately the need for the use of physical force and compulsion in achieving law enforcement objectives, no? So imagine if you are patrolling in an area wherein the community is very helpful, very cooperative, no? Kapag halimbawa may hinahabol kang kriminal, no? And the community cooperates with you, no? Sasama sila, tutulong sila na makipaghabulan also, no? Tutulong sila na hulihin, no? Yung criminal na yan. Imagine, ang gagawin mo na lang is pasasan siya, no? Bigyan siya ng Miranda warning, dalhin siya sa police station, no? Kasi yung other works, like for example, paghanap sa kanya or paghabol sa kanya, no? Pag-neutralize sa kanya, gagawin na, no? Gagawin na yun ng community if, no? If the community cooperates. But if, no? The community do not support the law enforcement organization, wala, itatago pa nila yung criminal na yan, ano? Kahit magtanong-tanong ka dyan, kahit magsigaw-sigaw ka dyan, itatago nila yan, yung criminal na yan, no? So, yun yung gusto nating i-avoid. Kaya nga dapat the PNP, kaya nararapat lamang that the law enforcement organization shall create a program, shall make sure that they are being supported by the community, no? So, it makes their job easier actually if that happens, no? To recognize that when the community, ayan, so letter E, to seek and preserve public favor, not by soliciting public opinion, but by constant demonstration of impartiality, by readily offering of individual service, no, to all members of the community without regard to their wealth, friendship, social standing, and race, and so on. So that is in relation to non-discrimination service rendered by a police officer, no? Ngayon, how could you be able to get the support of the community? Does that mean napapadikta ka lagi sa opinyon ng publiko, no? Susunod ka lagi sa pinag-uutos o sa kahilingan ng public? No, that's not how you can be able to get the support of the public, no? You could be able to get the support, no? Not only the support, but the respect of the community if you only do your job professionally, ethically, no, with all respect, human rights of each and every individual, and by doing your job without any discrimination, regardless of who the people involved therein. No? Kung nakikita kasi ng community na walang sinasanto ang mga kapulisan, mapamayaman yan, anak ng politiko, no, kilalang tao, and so on, mas irerespeto ang ating mga kapulisan at mas madali, no, na makipag-cooperate ang ating mamamayan sa ating kapulisan kapag nakikita nilang ganun, impartial kumbaga, no discrimination. Pero kapag naman ang nakikita ng mamamayan na kung saan ang hinuhuli lang ng kapulisan yung mga walang pera, yung mga mahihirap, samantala meron yung anak ng politiko, dinuduro-duro yung kapulisan, hindi man lang nila posasan, hindi man lang nila arestuhin, no? Kapag nakita ng mamamayan na kapag yung aarestuhin nila kilalang tao ay hindi man lang nila maaresto, no? So magiging negative ngayon ang opinion ng public towards the police organization. So how are we going to build a good relationship? We show impartiality and professionalism in the performance of the duty, no? Kung ikaw police officer nakikita ng community that wala kang pinapaborang iisang tao, isang grupo, mas madaling magtiwala sa iyo ang community. And with that, you can be able to create a good rapport, a good relationship between the community, between the community, and it will make your job easier. No? That's the relevance of such thing, no? To what we are talking about. And we also have here to use physical force only when the exercise of persuasion, advice, and warning is found to be insufficient in the pursuit of law observance or to restore order, and shall resort only to the minimum degree of physical force necessary on a particular occasion in achieving law enforcement objectives. You know, the job of the PNP organization members, no? Ang trabaho ng ating kapulisan ay hindi upang manakit, no? Bagkus ang trabaho nila ay protektahan yung mga inaabuso, protektahan yung mga pinagsasamantalahan, no? Hindi dapat sila ang mag-abuso. Kaya when it comes to the use of physical force, no, the PNP organization is very strict with regards to that. Stricto sila, no? Hindi mo kasi hindi trabaho ng kapulisan 'yan, no, yung manakit, no, ng kapwa. Trabaho nila hulihin yung mga nananakit ng kapwa. Kaya tsaka lang gagamit ng tinatawag nating physical force, no, yung ating kapulisan kapag talagang wala ng ibang paraan. Like for example, kinausap mo na ng maayos, no, tao sa tao, pinagsabihan mo na, winarningan mo na, hindi pa rin nakinig. Wala pa rin, no? Wala pa ring pagbabago. Ibig sabihin, hindi pa rin siya sumusunod. Ayaw niya pa rin sumunod. So, what should you do? Alangan naman, because the methods that you did, like for example, verbal warning, persuasion, advices, was not efficient, iiwanan mo na lang. Ayaw niya sumunod nung magagawa natin. There is a point also that you are allowed to use force in order to enforce the law. But again, the rules with regards to that, it should be reasonable. Dapat ay sakto lang, no? Nasa minimum degree of force, no? Para lamang kumbaga maipatupad mo yung batas, no? Masettle yung issues peacefully. Then you are allowed actually to use a minimal force or the so-called reasonable force in the enforcement of the law. And that is allowed. That is justifiable under the concept of police operations, and that is justifiable also under our law, specifically under self-defense. No? So, ganun lang yun. The use of physical force should be the last resort. No? The last resort. No? Ito na yung pinakahuling paraan na pwede mong gamitin kapag hindi talaga umubra yung mga maayos or makataong pamamaraan na yan. Okay? Letter G, to constantly maintain a wholesome relationship with the community that gives reality to the historic tradition. Diba sabi natin that the police is the people and the people is the police. The police officers are members of the community who are paid to render public safety services due upon every citizen, endearing the principle that the public office is a public trust. No? So again, this is the importance of the building of a good environment, especially the relationship between the community and the police officers. As we have stated here, no? In order to attain yung tinatawag natin, the police is the people and the people is the police. No? Remember that the police organization, as I have stated a while back, exists because of the community. Because of the people residing in that community. Dahil ginusto ng community na magkaroon ng police force, that's why it existed. So therefore, no, the police officer should try to build or try to do their best in order to protect, to render service, no, to maintain the peace and order in a certain community. No? Kaya nga, pakatandaan natin yan. It always result into humility kapag tayo ay alam natin yung lugar natin in a certain society. Ano? So if you are a police officer, you should know how to lower yourself, no? You should know how to be humble when you are dealing with the community, because remember, they are the very reason why your profession exists, no? Your profession exists, even me, no? My profession exists because of the community. Because if there's no community, there's no need for law enforcement, and there's no need for my profession also to exist. So we should always humble ourselves to the community, and it will build a good result, no? it will build a good relationship between the law enforcement and the community, then that would be a better way to live in. Yan yung in achieving the primary goal of the PNP, yung vision nila that the community in year 2030 will be a peaceful place to live in, wherein you can be able to do business and so on. Yan, yung mga yan. How could you achieve that? Start with building a good relationship with the community. Start by humbling yourself to the community, and start by building the public trust for the organization. Okay? Yan. So, we're nearing to the end. Anyway, malapit na to. Let me just, bilisan na lang natin, okay? To recognize the need for strict adherence to the law, refrain from usurping the powers of the powers and authority of the judiciary, no? And in avenging individuals, judging guilt, and punishing the guilty. So, in our previous discussion, we are talking about the limitation of the powers of the law enforcement organization. So we have, sabi nga natin, we have judiciary, we have parliamentary, judiciary, executive, and so on. We have the executive for the police officers. They're part of the executive branch. So there's a limitation for their power, If a police officer, ang trabaho ng police officer, let's enforce the law, enforce the law. And he don't have the authority to do punishing, to do judging, and whatsoever. A police officer is limited, A police officer's power is limited only to enforcing the law, sa pagpapatupad ng batas. Kung ang paghuhusga ay hindi na yan kasali sa iyo. That's why kapag inaresto mo ang isang tao mo pa rin yan aarestuhin. Bakit? Hindi pa naman yan criminal, or hindi pa naman yan guilty, or hindi pa naman yan convict, for the crime that you are arresting him for. For example, Mr. Pedro, inakusahan na magnanakaw. When you are going to arrest Mr. Pedro, tratuhin mo si Mr. Pedro as innocent individual pa rin. So you are going to arrest him with all the professionalism that is deserved, with all the respect to his human dignity and human rights, Yun yung mga dapat gawin mong treatment sa kanya. Hindi yung kumbaga pag inaresto mo yung isang tao, kumbaga tratuhin mo siya parang baboy na, parang hindi na tao kasi accordingly he's a criminal. That's wrong. You don't have the power to judge individuals. You don't have the power to claim that they are guilty. And lastly, you don't have the power to punish them. So when you are enforcing the law, enforce only the law. Enforce only the law. Wala kang biases dapat dyan. Okay? To recognize that the test of police efficiency is the absence of crime and disorder, and not the visible evidence of law enforcement action in dealing crime and disorder, enshrine the principle that the crime prevention is better than crime solution. I have issues with regards to this. I heard that about the quota with regards to the tokhang. I think that's one of the reason kung bakit nagkandeleche-leche ang tokhang na yan. Why? Because some of the different police agencies, police stations, police units are being required to arrest at least a certain amount of drug addicts. Kailangan halimbawa, police officer, municipality of Jones, for example, binigyan sila ng example lang I'm not saying that this is what's happening, but I think I heard. Okay. So for example, sinabihan ng municipality ng Jones Isabela, the PNP Jones Isabela. Okay. Sa istasyon na yan, you should arrest 100 individuals, na mga drug user, drug pusher, and so on. Kailangan yung maka-aresto ka ng 100 katao na involved sa drugs. That's a quota. So, lalo na kapag halimbawa ang mandato is aalisin kita bilang hepe ng istasyon na yan kung wala kang maarestong ganun karami for the first quarter of the year. Pag sinabihan ka ganun, ikaw naman na COP, papasa mo naman yung pressure sa mga tao mo. Kailangan yung mga aresto ng ganito katao. Paano? Kung wala talagang mga drug user, drug pusher dyan sa area na yan, does that mean that you are not performing well in that area? Bilang isang police station, wala kang na-aresto kasi wala kang drug addict doon sa area. Anong magagawa mo? Does that mean that the police officer in Jones Isabela are less efficient? No, hindi sila marunong, hindi sila magaling sa pag-enforce ng law, hindi sila marunong sa panghuli ng addict kasi wala silang naaresto. Remember that in the old concept with regards to the rules of efficiency, actually, the absence of criminals is the proof of police efficiency. No? Pero kung ang ipipilit natin is the presence of crime, the number of arrests as the basis of police efficiency, diyan na nagsisimula yung halimbawa, no? Wala naman talaga siyang kasalanan, ano? Nagmumotor lang diyan, checkpoint, sinita nyo sa checkpoint, tinaniman nyo ng droga, inaresto nyo for allegedly drug using, drug pusher siya, kahit napaka-inosente niya naman, diyan na nasira yung tokhang-tokhang na yan. Because of this kota-kota na binibigay sa ating mga kapulisan, that they need to arrest this, they need to increase their arrest in relation to drug use. No? There are places that really has no cases of drug use. And sometimes also because of the large number that they are being required to them that they should arrest, no? Napipilitan sila na magtanim droga, no, maging agriculturist na yung mga police officer na kung saan is nagtatanim na sila ng mga drugs, no, nagtatanim na sila ng mga ebidensya para lamang meron silang maaresto at para lamang meron silang accomplishment, which is very negative, no. Yan yung issue ko with regards to the tokhang na yan. Okay, so to recognize the test of law enforcement integrity, now we're talking about integrity naman, is the presence of personal moral responsibility exemplified by virtuous behavior and non-compromising law enforcement officer. So when we are talking about personal moral responsibility, you know that already, alam mo naman yung mga immoral actions that you should try to avoid. No? Don't engage in drugs, don't engage in criminality, don't engage in scandalous relationship and whatsoever, to show that you as a law enforcement officer have integrity, and therefore your authority, no, and your relevance to the enforcement of the law will increase. No? Siyempre, papahalagahan ka, irerespeto ka ng community kapag nakikita nila na ikaw ay isang mabuting pulis. Okay? To recognize that the achievement of a professional service depends principally upon the constant development of police education and training, research, planning, and exercises. Okay? So, when we are talking about achievement in the professional service, no, sa PNP, it's not measured by how high your rank is. Kasi minsan yan nagkakaproblema, no? Nagpapataasan ng ranko, no? Kasi akala nila the higher your rank, the more professional or the more educated you are. But actually, that should not be the case. No? Ang basihan dapat diyan is your professional growth in terms of education, training, and your achievements in your field, no? And yun yung exactly the same basis for promotion, no? Promotion is based upon the following criteria: education, training, research, planning, and exercises, achievements, and so on. So, kumbaga, sumusunod na lang yung rank. Before you could be able to honor a certain police officer in terms of his rank, no? Kung anong pwesto niya, dapat i-honor muna yung mga achievements niya, yung mga personal or academic achievements niya, yung mga professional achievements niya, which is, yun yung gagamitin mo to promote him for a certain rank. So there's no problem with that. There is only a problem for those individuals, like for example, is they want to increase their rank without learning. No? So may mga iba na kung saan is dahil may pera sila, no? Pupunta sa isang institution, magbabayad ng certain halaga para bigyan sila ng diploma, yung mga issues ngayon, sa politics natin, na kung saan nagkaroon ng diploma in 3 months and whatsoever. Pwede rin mangyari yan sa kapulisan, no? Isang police officer, for example, gusto niya ng may doctorate din siya, or may PhD, or may masteral siya, kaya pumunta siya sa isang institution, nagbayad ng certain amount, no? Para mabigyan siya ng diploma for that. Ipasa niya lahat yung subject na yun without doing anything, without learning anything. That's the problem. No? Kasi ang ina-after nila is the rank and not the education and the training and the experience that they will gain if they will do it in the proper way. No? So when you become a police officer, again, no, ang pagfokusan nyo is with regards to learning new knowledge, training, creating researches, no? Yung dapat meron ka talagang natututunan personally. Hindi yung kumbaga pumapasa-pasa ka, wala ka namang natutunan, no? Masteral ka, PhD ka, no? Doktor ka ng doktor, 3 na doktor mo pero wala ka namang natutunan based on your experience in relation to what you're learning, useless, no? That's not the measurement of professional growth, no? Hindi porket ang taas-taas mo na ng ranko mo, general ka na, kung binili mo lang lahat yung promotion mo and whatsoever, it's useless, no? Next, to recognize the stability of the republic and the continuity of the sovereignty and the strength of democracy depend upon the police organization that is constantly aware of the sensitive balance between individual freedom and collective security. Ever alert to dangers and extra legal and immoral procedures, and never compromise the principle in favor of evil means to obtain or to attain the good ends. Yan. So there is a due process for everything, There's a due process for everything. There's no need for us to go, underhanded activities. Like, for example, when you're going to arrest a certain individual, you're going to use whatever means possible para lamang maaresto mo siya. Despite the fact that there is some irregularities that was violated, like for example, technicalities in the conduct of arrest, mga yun. Example nito, gusto mong arestuhin si Pedro, alam mong nagdra-drug siya, alam mong nagdra-drug si Pedro, pero nung inaresto mo siya, wala siyang dalang droga, Nung sinubject mo siya sa drug test, screening test, negative. Alam mo talaga, may intel ka, may information ka na si Pedro, pusher yan ng drugs, Milyon-milyon ang halaga ng drugs na binebenta niyan and whatsoever. Kaso, nung nahuli mo, wala talaga. So what are you going to do? You planted evidence on Mr. Pedro. Okay? So that does it mean that now the result justify the ends that you use? Tingin mo kaya sa mata ng batas natin is justifiable yung ginawa mo since Mr. Pedro was identified as user, yet nung inaresto mo malinis siya, wala siyang dala and whatsoever, but you want to implicate him to that crime, so ang ginawa mo, tinaniman mo ng ebidensya. Okay? So that is an example of, an evil means to attain the good ends. Your intention, of course, your intention is good, You just want to arrest Mr. Pedro because he is an identified user, but the problem is, how were you able to do that? Ginawa mo yan illegally, through evil means. So, still, it's not justifiable. We have a due process, We should leave our biases to ourselves. Kung galit ka sa isang tao, huwag mo siyang i-implicate doon sa crime, especially kung wala naman talaga siyang ginagawa. Again, when you are enforcing the law, keep your biases aside. Huwag mong idamay yung personal issues mo. Huwag mong idamay yung personal opinions mo or your ideas, ideologies with regards to that. Because your limitation, your duty is to enforce law. Enforce law. So kung wala talaga, pakawalan mo. Better luck next time. Probably, susunod, meron na, matsambahan mo na. Ganun lang yun. Okay? So, I think I will end my discussion onto that. Do you have any questions? May tanong kayo?
Wala naman, sir.
Okay, so that's it. As I've stated, for those who joined our Google Meet late, our exam will be scheduled next week. So this will be the last topic for the midterm. We will be the coverage of your exam will be, of course, the first topic on the prelim until the last topic on the midterm. So yan yung coverage natin. So mag-prepare na tayo, and I'll try my best to upload the 2 lectures that was not yet uploaded, para sa mga hindi nakapag-attend, at para rin meron kayong basis for the review. The rest of the lectures was uploaded naman. Check nyo na lang yung channel natin for your review. Okay? So, with your notes, I uploaded it already. Binigay ko na yung access link sa ating Facebook group. So, i-download nyo na lang. At kung may mga idadagdag pa ako, especially for your other subjects, no, i-upload ko ulit doon. So, kindly check na lang onto that. So, there's no way for you to fail your exam, no? I'll be providing you your module and as well as the recorded lecture for your guidance, okay? So, if there are no more questions then, thank you guys for attending. I do hope I was able to impart some valuable knowledge with regards to the topic that we discussed. That's it for today. See you guys on the next lecture. Bye-bye.
Bye, sir. Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.